Hey there everyone, and welcome to the Godot Dev vs Challenge, where two teams of 3 developers are facing off using different engines to create one game based on a playable project demo. Each developer gets only 1 day to work on the project before passing it on to the next developer, and they are not allowed to have any communication between them, which caused some extremely varying results. Anyways, let's get into the video. Hello, so I'm Cherry and I am the host. I am working on a 2D unconventional platformer called On the Wind's Breath. Feel free to check it out on Steam. And now, let's get to work. I decided on making the base prototype a very rough 2D co-op platformer. I set myself a 2-hour limit for my work so the developers have something simple, and I decided to get to work. I firstly coded some basic movements for the players, some buttons, and made it so the big player is the only one who can trigger big buttons, and they cannot jump as high as the small one. After the controller to work perfectly, okay, never mind. I decided to simply create a second level based on my features, call it a day, and pass the build on to the first developers.
Hello, so I was the first person to start working on the Unity project, which honestly put a bit of pressure on me, but it's all good. I got sent a prototype of the game, which was honestly quite confusing at first, but I got the hang of the concept after some time. So with all of that out of the way, I started a new project and immediately made 2 players and a pretty clunky movement system, which does the job for now, but it's something I hope the next developers will improve on. Then I was kind of bored, so I played around with some 2D lights on the scene, and I actually got these really cool shadows to work. Albeit a bit bugged, but it should maybe hopefully give it a bit of a unique style. Next up, I want to implement some buttons that the players can press, so I made a triangle as placeholder art and got to coding. I added some robust functionality so that buttons can have multiple actions, such as activating and deactivating platforms. I also made it so that some buttons can only be activated by the tall player, as seen on the prototype. Right here, I also added a timer, which I don't really remember why, but it's there. The last important thing to do is the finishing gate thing, and then I can play around with some fun stuff. I made an isometric diamond, once again placeholder art, and essentially just made a check if both players are colliding with it. If so, it moves to the next level. So now we've got a test level with all of the basic features implemented, but I want to experiment with some other features before handing it to the next developer. First of all, I made a second level just to experiment with some more gameplay, but I'm not really good at that stuff, so I leave the other levels to the other devs. Then I added a menu, not just an ordinary menu though. This one has fancy animations made with tweening. I'm really proud of these and I think they look crazy smooth. The settings button doesn't actually really do anything yet, as I don't really know what settings will be needed in the future, but once you press play you will notice the new loading transitions, once again made using tweening, and I think they look really modern. I made a fancy moving platform that you can set as many points as you want and all that, and the player also follows the platform using some black magic coding. And lastly, I decided to experiment with a little bit of art. Why a little bit? Because I'm terrible at it. I did decide to make a background for the second level though. After looking for some inspiration on Google, I created this minimalistic purple background thing. I don't really know if it's good, but it's there. And that just about wraps it up.
Hi, I'm Bob, and guess we're making a game today. Now I've been given this little demo to base the game off of, so let's see what we're working with here. Alright, so we got this little prototype here. Looks like I'm this shape. And I can play as this other shape. Magnificent. Alright, so I got this big guy and this little guy, and you use their size and weight to solve puzzles. I've never made a puzzle game before, but I guess I can work with that. So I opened the Godot engine and got some boxes to move, and this actually gives me an idea. Not again! So the idea is, you play as a knight and a robber, and your goal is to help the robber past the guards to get to a treasure or something. The knight can be spotted by the guards with no problems, while the robber is more agile and dies when, you know. Yeah, that's it, that's the idea. So I got to work implementing that and also made a few levels. Now the art is supposed to be temporary. I'm hoping someone with actual artistic skills does something with this. And in the remaining time I did something which I'm actually somewhat competent at, and made some music along with a very basic menu. And yeah. On to the next person it goes. Bye!
Hi everyone, I'm Vector and I'm making a little metroidvania called The Tale of LUMI. So when I opened the project, I found this level with 2 characters that I can only assume that you had to coordinate their actions to get to the end of the level. I like the idea of having 2 characters or units to control. However, I'm not sure if I'm liking having to control both with separate keys in the keyboard. So I changed the gameplay slightly to something like this. I kept the original idea of having to control 2 units to solve puzzles, but now they are magnets, and you can switch their polarity to move them in the level, and you can also move them left and right. I kept the original timer too, because I think it's a good thing to have, and added a little UI. Very ugly, but it's there just to show the controls to the player. The game's still lacking the art department, but the game loop's there, so hopefully the next dev can take it further. So thanks to Cherry for inviting me to participate in this challenge, and on to the next dev!
Yo, what's up? I'm AkulDev and I make some really questionable games on YouTube. This is my first ever Pass the Game challenge, so you know I'm here to bring that heat, baby. So let me show you exactly how I changed this game for the better. Upon opening the project, I was greeted by some wonderful art and gave the game a quick playtest to understand what the flip is even going on. According to my calculations, this game appears to be a 2-player co-op puzzle game similar to games like Fireboy and Water Girl. No offense, but this game in this state is looking kinda doo-doo. So my first course of action is to step in and give the game a nice polish. I started off with fixing the tiles on the platforms to make them look a bit better, and I gave the levels a brand new background. I was left a note by the previous developer to put a valuable item here. I don't know if it's just because I'm kind of an old head, but I thought this guard was the monkey from Ape Escape, which is a pretty old game now. So with that in mind, I created a golden banana as the artifact. I swear I wasn't trying to copy Danny. The laws of the cosmos just led me to this exact moment. However, this banana does absolutely nothing now, and it's the next developer's problem. My next course of action was to go on and make a score system because I felt like there should be some kind of side objective or system to give the game some more depth. I pretty much copied Fireboy and Water Girl, and there's 2 different coin types which each player collects separately based on their color. So logically the next step would be to color code the players and give them a bigger appearance difference to make it more obvious for what coins they should interact with and just general like game stuff. I felt like the coin system needed some kind of incentive, so I made a store with this hella dope merchant heading the operation. Bands up in his hands, bro. At the store you can buy items from him which can help you progress and go further in the next levels. The problem is that I'm too overwhelmed with ideas and I am running out of time, so the rest of the shop is kind of up to the next developer once again. Sorry, bro. The plan is that you go to the shop between levels and then move on to the next one, but there's only 3 levels right now, so I thought before I run out of time I would make a couple more. I made 2 more levels that are mostly finished and a new mechanic which kind of works. It's basically a wall that only allows 1 person through depending on their color. Finally, I made the menu a bit nicer, and that's all of my changes for this game. I didn't do anything crazy, I just gotta hope that the next developer goes dumb and saves the game for everybody. Thank you, Cherry, for this opportunity, and remember to subscribe to my channel or else 1,000 wombats will loiter in your front lawn, man, which does not sound pleasant at all.
Hi, I'm Raymoclaus and I make devlogs about my current game, Bottled Sky, which is a cartoony, space-themed 2D action-adventure game. Before I even see the project, my goals are understand what I'm working with, make notes about what I think is missing and any bugs I come across that I can try and fix, and then finally, polish it. Enough chit-chat, let's take a look. Alright, this is my first look at the project. Okay, we've got a timer. WS movement space switch. Right, W and S can't do anything right now. Space switches gravity, I guess. A and D move left and right. I don't know what WS does. How does that interact with these colors? Oh, okay, that switches to open doors, I see. And then I presume this is like a gate and I want both of these. I win. Okay, I guess we just have the 1 level then. Going back to my goals, I can confidently answer my first point that this is a puzzle game. Considering that 2 people have already worked on this, it seemed odd that this was all there was, so I dug into the project and quickly found that this level was labeled as a tutorial and it wasn't linked to the other scenes. These scenes were labeled as old, and after some testing it was clear that the only thing that worked was the tutorial scene that I had first played. But I'm not about to change it into something else. Looking at my second goal, I didn't encounter any significant bugs with the tutorial level, but I definitely feel that this game could do with more levels. I'm going to stick with the existing mechanics as much as possible for now and try to come up with a few more levels. I did some testing, and one thing I noticed is that once the top magnet stops moving vertically, it will stay at that vertical position until I shift the polarity, even when there's nothing between the 2 magnets. Any ordinary person might call this a bug, but they're wrong. This is a feature. Here's a level that forces you to understand that. Another thing I noticed is that you don't need to collect the goal circles at the same time like I thought you did. So here's another level that forces you to understand that. I had an idea for linking 2 buttons such that pressing one unpresses the other. This is technically a new mechanic because now open doors can be closed again, but I barely had to code anything, so to me it didn't feel like a new mechanic. I couldn't find anything else interesting without creating new mechanics, so I combined all those existing mechanics to make a challenging level. I'm running out of time, so I changed the original tutorial level into 2 separate levels that teach basic movement and polarity switching. Then I fixed the main menu into a level select and made sure that completing each level takes you to the next level. For my third goal, I would have liked to make some sound effects and improve the visual design a little bit to make things like buttons and closing doors a bit clearer at a glance. I want to say thanks to Cherry for organizing this challenge. I enjoyed the last challenge I was a part of, so of course I put my hand up for another one. If you enjoyed my approach to this challenge, then come check out my channel.
What's up, y'all? I'm the final dev in the Godot chain. I'm excited to work on this project. It looks like they sent me a puzzle platformer, which is going to be interesting to work with. I noticed that the main issues that need to be worked on are the visuals and just general polish, as well as a little bit level design tweaks. Yeah, let's go. So the first thing I wanted to work on is bring together the visual consistency a little bit. So I pulled in a Kenny asset pack and started working on tweaking the assets, adjusting the size of some of them so there wouldn't be any mixels. I gave the knight this kind of berserker looking guy, and then I gave the robber this little, looks like a knight, but he ended up kind of looking like a child compared to the scaled up berserker. And then I also redid the guard to actually be a knight scaled up. After getting a little bit of visual consistency together, I wanted to try out Godot's 2D lighting system, which I've seen some people do pretty cool things with. So I went ahead and added some lights to the guard, the knight, and the robber, as well as adding torches that would emit light, and then a shadow blocker to the knight to better signify that the knight can actually block the guard's line of sight. With some more consistent sprite work and then also some lighting, I think it was time to work on animations and a little bit of squash and stretch. So for the animations, I just did a simple run, a jump, and an idle animation, which were all pretty simple, but they definitely add a lot of life to the game. After that, it was a little bit of squash and stretch, which was always a nice technique for adding responsiveness. And from there, I was feeling a little bit lost on what to do. The game felt like it didn't have any glaring issues, but also like it wasn't complete yet. At this point, I realized that there was a shop and a banana end screen that I hadn't really considered. The banana end screen, I had an idea that I think was pretty funny, and basically I made the banana rise up into the ceiling with a light window that opens up, and then confetti pops out when the banana reaches it, which I think is kind of funny and rewarding way to finish the game. But then there was a shop, and in a puzzle platformer, a shop doesn't really make sense, so that was going to be a bit tough. After a little bit of brainstorming, I settled on the idea of having just like stupid cosmetic hats would show up at the beginning of the game, and you could just choose one. It's like the shop. So I added a top hat and a banana hat, and then a little Easter egg to the game I'm working on, which is an archer's hat. But you can also choose to ignore all the hats and just do a little bit of parkour through there. After that, the game was feeling pretty done. Like the visuals were looking not bad. Gameplay was pretty much finalized by the other devs, so I didn't have much to do there. So I sent it off to some of my friends to do a final play test of the game, make sure none of the puzzles were too hard, arbitrary, and it looked like everything was good. So I'm really excited with how the game's actually turned out. Looks like that people are able to have fun with the game and are not running into annoying like issues, bugs, or too difficult puzzles. I want to thank Cherry for having me. It's been great fun. I'm AkulDev, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I overall love how all of these games turned out. Remember to check out the developers you liked in the description down below. And now let's get on to the reaction to the final versions of the project.
I'm playing the game. Alright, let's get to it. Yo, this is sick! So it appears, I Outer Cloud had a field day while I was gone. Okay. I like those sight lines on the night there. They look pretty good. Okay. Smooth, clean. That's all I gotta say, really. This is so sick. The banana, that was amazing. So it looks like I have a lot to learn in my development journey. That was just such a good, like, polishing, and just generally, like, everything looks better. It plays better. Repurpose some of our older ideas while still not redoing it and maintaining well with the challenge. Excellent job. Excellent job, Outer Cloud. I approve.
I love capitalism. It's very yummy. I like the 2D lighting they added. That's pretty cool. That was good. I like the video game. It, you know, I have this slide whistle. I haven't found an excuse to use it, so I'll just.
I've been curious about what the reference prototype looked like, because by the time I worked on the Unity project, it contained what looked like 2 separate games. I wonder which one was closer to this original, the little one. All right, so this is the little one that can fit through the gap. Oh, I can trigger little buttons. All right, I'm gonna assume that's it. So now I'm gonna check out the game that the other team made. Okay, already this is looking way more polished than what we did. Also, there's music. I've turned it down for myself and it won't appear in the recording, but it is there, trust me. Alright, so each level is sort of self-contained. There's no sort of continuity between the levels. You'd think the light source would be coming from the torch up here, but no, it is the night. No, okay, so it looks like it does block vision to some extent, but if the big guy is behind him, it doesn't block anything. I think this already has more levels. I haven't been counting how many levels, but I think it's got more levels than what we made. Oh, okay, that is really precise. I don't know if I like that level, because generally speaking, you're either a puzzle game or you're like a reactions test game, and typically audiences don't like both. Overall, though, that was pretty good. That was a lot more polished than we made. Had slightly different mechanics. I don't know where the magnet idea came from. I like the addition of the knights and the line of sight. It only worked on one character, but that was the purpose, I guess. That was intended.
Okay, I would say there are some genuinely good puzzle designs here. The puzzles are actually fun. The main issue that I have is that it's kind of lacking polish. When you're like switching polarities, it stops you from moving, which I feel like it should let you move. And I feel like the polarity switch is a bit too slow. Also, the visuals look like there wasn't too much work put into them, so I would have liked to see maybe someone do a bit more art.
Okay, this is interesting. It's kind of annoying that you can't move during there's that, but I mean, it's probably fine. What a video game. I beat it. Where's my prize? Yeah, that was fine. There wasn't really any music or sounds.
The first thing I can notice is that it's very, very basic. And yeah, it's pretty easy to recreate as well. Like, it does not need a lot of work. Pretty big fan of this map as well. UI, I'm just gonna say it, it's not. The background, I actually made it. First thing you can really notice is that the gimmick of the game has changed a bunch. I do think the concept is pretty fun. And I'm also a pretty big fan of this background. Like, it's not bad. This is... What? Oh, that's really cool, actually. I do think the button mechanic is really cool. Yeah, nothing that I made was kept. That's kind of sad. But it was kind of a misunderstanding and all of that.
Oh, that's cool, because if you don't press spacebar, then you kind of stop. Very interesting. I think this is one of the levels that I created, or the only one. I don't know if it was slightly modified or not. Honestly, I kind of like this type of puzzle. Oh, that's super cool, the green buttons there. Oh yeah, that's a very good idea. If you can get through all the levels. Oh, I like the idea. I like how the puzzles turned out. I like the focus on level design. But yeah, I mean, with a little bit more time with the art polish, that would be a really fun game to play.
By the way, there's a huge sale going on the Unity assets store right now where you can purchase some of the best assets ever created for 50% off. Some of these assets even I use, like Hidden Steamworks SDK or Text Animator V2. If you want to support me when purchasing anything from the asset store, use the link from down in the description below. So that would be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out every developer in the description down below and their games, and see you in the next video.